Cheat Code.
Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball Cheat Code, the show for competitive pickleball players who are looking to level up their game. We focus on advanced strategies for experienced players, stuff only the pros really know. I'm Brodie Smith. I'm a 5.5 player and a coach, and I'm here with my co-host, Tanner Tomasi.
Hey everyone.
Today, we're covering playing with a weaker partner and how to come out on top. And then at the end of the episode, Tanner and I are going to be playing a game where I ask him rapid fire questions to determine his ideal pro partner. And then we're working on a Q&A episode, but we need your questions. So please call in and leave us a voicemail at memo.fm/PCC. Tanner, how we doing?
I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
I'm tired. I'm doing fantastic. But let's get into the episode. So discussing playing with a weaker partner. I mean, obviously, you're not always going to get the partner you want. You know, someone's always going to be better than somebody else. You might be just a little bit the same level. You might be way better. But you actually did a YouTube video on this a while back, and I just wanted to break this down much further and through a whole pod episode. So to set the stage, me and you, we're going into a tournament together, like we've discussed 1,000 times. And I have to carry you. I have to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm carrying the weaker partner, you in this case. What should my strategy be going into this tournament? What should I be looking out for?
I think if you're playing a tournament with a weaker partner, me in this case, when I did the YouTube video, I actually did it with my mom, and it was a good video. Yeah. But what I would recommend is, so me as the weaker partner, you are going to tell me that instead of me trying to dink cross court, I'm going to dink more straight ahead, so to the person in front of me. And that's going to allow you to get more involved. The issue is if I try to dink cross court, the cross court player can kind of keep you out of the game by just pinning me in a corner. Whereas if I just dink straight ahead, then it allows you to get bigger and bigger. It also makes me a smaller target. So I can basically creep over more to the sideline if I'm only going straight ahead, and I just have less to worry about. Where if I'm trying to go cross court and I'm trying to get big as the weaker player, then I have to cover my left foot, my right foot, everywhere. Whereas if I'm just hitting it straight ahead, I'm on the sideline, aiming my dinks to the middle, to the person in front of me, I'm going to make less errors because I'm having to do less. I'm just covering one spot.
That makes sense. What about if it does go cross court? What's your positioning look like then? I'm assuming you're just playing heavy middle and having a heavy presence there to kind of bait them to go behind you. What does that look like when the ball gets shifted around? Because they could easily dink cross court and then your partner dink straight forward, right?
Yeah.
What does the setup look like from there?
You're saying as the weaker or the stronger player?
If you're the stronger player, we'll put in the position that you're the stronger player just to make things simple. So you're the stronger player. Dink goes away from you. How do you handle your court positioning at that point, besides the obvious of just heavy middle presence?
Yeah, just big in the middle. If they keep kind of icing you out and only going to your partner, you can go a step or two over the center line, and you kind of want to force them to go behind you. More often than not, if they try to go behind you and you're big in the middle, they're going to try to hit it sharp and aggressive if you're the perceived stronger player. So more often than not, when I find myself playing real big in the middle and somebody tries to go behind me, their ball, since it's trying to be so aggressive, I'm normally able to take it out of the air and either attack it or just kind of hit a dink if it's a good one and just dink it out of the air. If it bounces behind me, I might be in trouble. But I'm also in my head really waiting for them to go behind me. So I'm almost a step ahead. So even if it does bounce, I can still get there.
Let's say it does go behind you.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a tough shot, right? It goes deep to your backhand, for example. Are you able to apply pressure then from that moment, or are you just trying to neutralize and play it safe, right? And then just kind of rework the point back in?
I would just try to go to the person's in front of me inside foot. I don't want to go down the line in case of an Ernie. So I'm trying to go more middle-ish with the dink to just kind of reset. I'm basically throwing in the towel, conceding that they won the theoretical point in that moment, and then we're back into the rally.
They won the battle, but not the war.
That's exactly it.
Well done. Yeah. Okay. So dinking straight and keeping that pressure there. What about, so that's obvious when we're at the kitchen. Then what about midcourt and from the baseline? Same strategy? Are we going to be dropping straight, driving straight? What are your thoughts on that?
What I would do there is, let's say we're trying to approach the kitchen line, the ball's coming to us. If my partner has even though they're weaker, but let's just say they're still somewhat decent on the third shot. When they're hitting their third shot, I would take 2 steps into the court and position myself a little in the middle because I know the ball is probably going to go to my partner. So I'm almost trying to make myself a target, putting myself in a little bit of a worse situation, but to get myself the ball, as opposed to putting myself in a better situation, but then the ball is not going to come to me. So I'm going to be 2 steps in, maybe like a foot or so, or 2 feet more to the middle. So basically the opponents are trying to target me in the midcourt.
What percentage of the court are you covering then? So like, how do you balance between, managing the whole court and then also giving your partner some room to breathe? Because you need to give them some confidence too and give them some space, right? So like, are you taking 70% per se? I mean, obviously it's going to depend if your partner's way worse than you or just a little worse than you per se. But I mean, I'd say 70% might be like a good guess.
We'll assume like with this strategy that I go off to, it's like clearly they're getting targeted. You could say they're quote unquote way worse. The whole idea is to like make myself, like I said, where if the ball doesn't come to me, it's so obvious that it's their ball, so they have ample time to react. And I really want my weaker partner to only have to worry about one thing. I don't want my partner to have to worry about forehand, backhand when they're trying to hit the resets. I want to position myself in the middle. So say they're just hitting backhands and the forehand, it's impossible. So they're going to be more consistent because they only have to worry about one thing.
Yeah. And then is that when you're going into a partner? So like, let's say it's known, the elephant's in the room, you're playing with, you're the better partner. You know it, your partner knows it, right? That's a good thing because sometimes there could be some egos getting in the way and they think they're the same level, but you're really not. But in theory, what are the strategies and like, what's the tone that you're setting going into that match, going into that tournament, communication wise, to make sure that you guys are on the exact same page for every point?
I definitely wouldn't directly say it, even though if we're both aware. But I would just say like I'll play the more like dominant role and you play like the more like reset role or whatever. I guess I'd position it as that and just try to let them know like, yeah, I'll get real big. Like I'll cover the middle dinks. You just worry about that. Like you just worry about staying on the backhand. Let's dink more straight ahead. Like I would pretty much like tell them without telling them, but not in like a bad way, but if that's how they're going to excel. Like I feel like any partner would be fine. Like if somebody's clearly better, like if I'm playing with Ben Johns, I'm not going to be like, oh, let me take every ball. I'm going to be like, here, I'll position myself in the corner. I'll be consistent so you can do your thing. I'm
going to just do all the dirty work and just get it back in and make you the hero. No.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. I mean, the main thing is not to be a dick, essentially, is some people are like, their ego gets in the way so much. They're like, yeah, I'm the better player. I'm taking all these shots. It's like, shut up. You're choosing to play with a weaker partner. So this is kind of your fault as well. So it's about, making sure egos don't get in the way on either side, and make sure you set those boundaries before and be respectful of your partner. And, I think one of the most important things is that if you're playing with a weaker partner, this might be the most important thing that we even talk about is being a good person to your partner. And it sounds corny, but like, if you're putting this pressure that you're going to be the dominant player, that they need to do X, Y, Z and get everything right, you need to give them positive vibes and positive energy. Because if they feel like the person, like if I'm playing with you, I'm obviously not going to want to let you down, right? I'm going to be playing probably more tense than I would with somebody else. If I'm playing with somebody worse than me, I'm going to be pretty relaxed. If I'm playing with you, I'm probably going to be more tense and more excited, and I don't want to let you down. So know that about your partner, if they're the weaker player, that they probably feel the same way. And you can't really put that pressure on them, and because that's going to make them play way worse. If they have that pressure that they can't make mistakes and they don't want to let you down, it's going to throw them off big time, I feel like.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think over positivity is always good to make them feel comfortable. They're going to play better. If you're rude to them, that's just going to make them play 7 times worse.
And even the slightest bit of negative energy, like you can't have that. They will only play worse if you're positive. If you're just have that next point, like you need to be the leader out there and be a positive coach.
Right.
If they get 5 dinks in the net, you have to just have that no sweat mentality. Next game, next point, because otherwise, nobody wants to be a liability out there. But sometimes people are liabilities. But you chose this partner, you got to ride with it, you got to work with it. And then the other thing is too, people in tournaments all the time, like you see it a lot, especially obviously less at the pro level because everybody's pretty equal with their partner, but below the pro level, there tends to be a larger gap. 4-5 might be playing with a 3-8, right? And if you're talking shit about your partner, like after a match, before a match, or giving excuses of like why you lost, like this is all your fault. You sign up, this is who you're riding with. Like take the fall. If you're the better player, this is your fault if you lost. You know what I mean? You have to just like take full ownership and be respectful. And I just see it a lot. And it drives me nuts where people will like say, yeah, we lost because I was playing with this guy. And, otherwise we would have been fine. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the usual thing people say.
The usual thing. Yeah. Just don't be that guy. That's my only message. You get what I'm saying? Anybody listening, don't be that guy. Take the blame yourself. You're the better player. You're the one coming up with the strategy. You take ownership. Got it. Cool. Sign that off. Put a podcast clip of that. Anyways, so the other thing I want to talk about is controlled aggression, right? You obviously need to have your presence felt, like we said, where you're applying pressure, you are making yourself known on the court, you're covering a heavy percentage of the court. But where do you have that balance of controlled aggression? And I bring this up because I've been a victim of this too, where I've tried to be the hero. If you try to be the hero and you try to make all these big plays and like you're not seeing the ball much, and as soon as you get one, you try to make a big play, that's something that works really against people because it's really hard to, make a big play when you see one ball. So I just wanted to discuss like controlled aggression and what that looks like for you. Like, how do you balance a consistent rally with making sure you're applying as much pressure as you can?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think when they're playing with a weaker person, they want to go like guns a-blazing, going after every shot. But that often leads to just like chaos that doesn't really end well. The only time that would ever work is like if you can hit through the people. Like if your opponent struggles with dealing with bangers, then sure, you can drive and crash yourself and do everything. But assuming that's not the case, you want to make yourself more of a threat with aggressive court positioning. So like if I drop the goal, so what I would do, like I said, if I was playing with a weaker person, I don't have the strongest drive. Let's say my opponent can handle it well. I'm going to hit like aggressive roll drops cross court, like top spin roll drops. And then I'm going to like not crash fully off that, but make myself like a present, like heavy in the middle of the court, near the kitchen line. So like I said, they funnel the ball right to my partner, or if they try to go to my partner, I can poach, or if they go to me, I can just reset the dink and then we're up at the net. But I'm really not being aggressive with my shots. I'm being more aggressive with my court positioning. That allows me to kind of take over and still dictate and control the pace of the rally.
And you're going cross court, and we've talked about this before, but it's usually for a shake and bake. But if you're trying to shake and bake yourself, right, you're going cross court because that way when you're approaching, you hone in and cover that whole middle zone because they can't really go behind you if you're flying through the middle and you're forcing them to go straight down the line, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I feel like that's because if you're going straight on, they can go away from you to your partner way easier, right?
Right. Yeah. They can get it away from you. Yep.
Yeah. And then the other thing too. So you're doing the drip most often then, right?
Yeah. I would say like more drop, but yeah.
I was going to say, from what I've seen, I go like heavy drive. I thought that would be best, but when I've had these matches, but I guess you can't really drive and crash off a drive then, now that I think about it, per your point.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like aggressive top spin drop.
Okay. That makes sense. And then the other thing I was going to say too, besides that, is the best way to get involved that I've noticed for this like setup is heavy serves and heavy serve returns, especially going deep to somebody's backhand, because obviously your opponents are going to be targeting your weaker player, right? If you're going heavy serve and heavy serve return, it's going to be so much harder for them to hit that third and hit that return to your partner. If you're hitting that heavy return and then you're crashing the net, they're not going to be able to target your partner nearly as well. That ball is probably going to pop up towards the middle a little bit more, and you're going to get involved way more. So if you're going to be aggressive anywhere, I feel like that is by far the best place to be aggressive on the court, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
And then the other thing too is my favorite thing to do is baiting opponents and flashing, like I always talked about. I think this is the most important area to add it when you're playing with a weaker partner, is adding like elements of chaos, essentially. So randomly just like throwing shit at the wall just to make sure you're keeping your opponents on your toes. So even if it's unorthodox and a little stupid here and there, I think just sprinkling in like a crazy aggressive poach, randomly doing some switches that don't make sense. Like maybe you're stacking, right? And that's another thing we didn't even talk about is the stacking element. If you're playing with a weaker partner, I'm assuming, most often you're going to want to stack to where you're on your preferred side. But that is up to your partner's discretion too. So don't force that upon them. But if it makes sense pre-strategy to stack, do that. Point being is if you're in your correct positions per se, is if they're going to be randomly or consistently returning to your weaker partner, randomly throw in a switch and then just completely go for the Burt, for example, and go cross court and fly across the court. Do shit that's just going to just really make them panic and keep them on their toes. I feel like that works really well. So play heavy middle, beg them to go behind you. And if they go behind you every once in a while and you lose the point there, so be it. But I think adding just like complete chaos here and there is pretty key.
Yeah, I like that. Chaos could be good for sure.
Yeah. And do you notice, I feel like this is for me, like if I'm playing with weaker partners, the better my singles game is, the better I am at playing in this type of situation. I feel like singles players in general are really good at playing with a weaker partner. But I mean, I feel like your singles game has gotten way better over the years too. Have you noticed that at all? Is that something that you've connected the dots with?
It probably helps with the movement some. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah, because if you're like a singles beast, that's what's going to help you fly around the court more, add that chaos, make your presence known. If you're just strictly a doubles player, it's way harder to shake and bake for yourself, be athletic, come in with the proper split step midcourt and know when to flash and when not to flash. That's what's going to help you really make your presence known. So the more you're working on that singles game, I feel like the better. Cool. I feel like we covered that pretty well. Not too much to discuss in that element, but I feel like we definitely hit the nail on the head there. Cool. All right, let's transition to end of episode. So per what I laid out earlier, I'm excited to throw this at you. So I'm going to throw two names at you, say John and Joe, of who you'd rather play in a pickleball tournament with. If you say Joe, then we're going to continue with Joe until the other person eliminates Joe. It's an elimination style matchup, and we're going to go one by one. This is men's doubles edition, and this is your ideal partner that you would like to pair up with for a future tournament for yourself. Sound good?
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So it's totally hypothetical. We're not ruffling any feathers. These are all great players, and they all have different values. So maybe it's a lefty-righty combo that would work best for you. Not necessarily who the better player is per se, but who you would want to be paired up with. Okay. First round matchup. Zane Navratil or James Ignatowicz?
I'm going to go with Zane because he also does the content. We could be the content team of the PPA.
Good content team. All right. I like it. Zane or Riley Newman?
I think go with Riley Newman. I think he has a really good game. So just to try that out, I've never,
It'd be fun. It'd be fun. Yeah, he's absolutely okay. Riley Newman or CJ Klinger?
Riley Newman for sure, because we're both lefty. CJ is lefty. I'm lefty.
That's a good point. I was going to say CJ is like killing it right now, but yes, good point. Okay, Riley Newman or JW Johnson?
I think JW Johnson. I think our styles would flow good just with the soft.
Like consistency and defense?
Yes, exactly.
Yep, makes sense. Okay. JW Johnson or Gabe Tardio?
I think still JW Johnson. I play better with the consistency rather than like the attack.
Well, then this person might be a good matchup then is JW Johnson and Federico Staksrud.
Federico Staksrud.
Okay. Fed or Dylan Frazier?
Fed. Dylan likes the right. Yeah.
Fed or Hayden?
I would say Hayden, just because I became good friends with him. I think we'd be a good team and we'd have a lot of fun.
All right, I love it. Hayden or Ben Johns?
Ben Johns. He's the best guy in the world. It would be foolish not to.
Ben Johns or me?
I'm gonna go with Ben Johns.
That's a good pick. Okay, last one. Ben Johns or Richard Levernice?
I think I'm throwing my partner to the side. I'm sticking with Ben.
Wow, Richard. I'm clipping that and sending this to Richard. That is a shame that you would throw your partner under the bus like that. Okay.
Only for a tournament though. No, you know what? If we do the PPA, I would want to do it with Richard. I'm not going to lie. It'd be fun. We practice every day. We play these teams. I think we could seriously do well.
I know you could.
We're going to do PPAs when we don't have to drive. Or when we're going to do PPAs when we can drive. Because to fly, to pay an $800 entry fee to go through the qualifiers, it's like a $2,000 trip. Where at least if we can drive to it, we can save some money on airfare and the car. So we're going to play PPAs, but there's one in November or something. We have to drive, otherwise it's too expensive.
Okay, so if Ben Johns calls, I'm going to know.
Ben Johns calls, I will drop Richard for a tournament. You
know what, Richard? You take this as you will. That's crazy. Wait, is there a PPA that you could drive to coming up? Anything on the schedule?
I think like 2 or 3 months. I wish there was one soon. I think we can do good. We play with the PPA people often. But the issue is you have to go through the qualifiers and you play a top 8 seed, which is fine. But I just want to get put in there, and give it a shot.
Yeah, going against a top 8 seed for PPA right off the bat is.
I think we could do it though. Like seriously,
I know you could.
He's right. I'm pretty sure we could do it.
I know 100%. I have full faith in you. But yeah, it's a lot of work, like you said. All right, that was good. That was a fun time. See you soon in person. Can't wait to get our skinny singles going in Chicago.
Let's go.
All right, see you, man. Bye.